you want to get with them, maybe in a couple of hours. And then if they don't answer, get with them maybe 3 or 4 hours later than that, and try to get them back on the schedule as soon as possible, right? And then if they don't answer, call them the next day. But there becomes a point where you're kind of wasting time. It feels like you're wasting time to get back on their schedule, right? So the rule of thumb is you want to do it in a short amount of time as possible. And then as time goes on, just spread out that time, right? So if I can't get a hold of them the same day, I'm going to call them back the next day. If I can't get a hold of them then, I may call them the third day at night. If I can't get a hold of them then, I may wait a couple of days. If I can't get a hold of them then, I may wait 4 or 5 days, right? I'm going to just kind of spread out the time the longer it goes. And then eventually, eventually you'll catch them when they're available. But that's kind of what LeadChamp Pro does for you. It will follow up with them and keep following up with them until they get back on the schedule. There's even a button on there that says presented not now. And so it'll say, okay, thank you. If anything changes, call me on my cell phone, and then it leaves my cell phone number. But then it won't text them for about a month, and then it'll start a drip campaign again for about a year. Oh. So you may call back during that time. You can hit that button, and then over the next few days, call back and see if you can get them back on the schedule. But if you can't, then that button was already hit, and it'll just follow up with them in about a month, right? And that way you don't forget about it. That's what's so awesome about having a real quality CRM, right?
Yeah, I can't wait to get back on LeadChamp Pro. I see how important it was and how important it is.
Yeah, and because it's like 3 of you. It's like you times 3, right? Yeah. It literally does the job of you by texting and emailing. Literally, I'll see a lead come in and it'll say Monday. And it just and what they're replying to is a question of, what day works better for you? And that was just a text message that went out. Well, it says Monday, or they text back Monday. And then AI kicks in and says, okay, great. Let me look at the schedule. Monday is not available. We can do Tuesday at 2 o'clock or 6 o'clock that evening as well, right? And it just puts it in regular conversation terms. And it's not the same every single time. It changes, right? And you can just sit there and watch, and it'll go ahead and just book the appointment. And that's not me doing anything. I mean, I'm not doing a darn thing. And then I wake up in the morning and my schedule is full, right? So, I mean, it's just saves so much time to do it. And for $300 a month, I mean, it's like paying another person, and you get one policy from that. You got it all paid for, so it's totally worth it. But does that answer your question, Kelly?
Yeah, because it's maybe I've just been hypersensitive on, I don't want to push these people. I know they need it. They know they need it, right? And I'm here to help them. I'm not here to convince them.
Yeah.
And but it's kind of like, yes, it's like, yeah, they say they're going to do it and complete it and call me, but there's like a bottomless pit, it seems like. And I want to get out of that mentality, so to have that confidence.
Yeah. So some other things that you want to kind of think about, and I've spoke about this before, is you don't want to sound desperate, right? So the question is, how do I get them back on the phone without sounding desperate?
Right.
Right. And so a lot of times that's in your verbiage and in your phrasing when you call. I leave a message every time I shouldn't say every time, at least once a day. So if I call them back to reschedule 3 times a day, 1 time a day, I'm going to leave a message. The other 2 times, I'm just going to call. I'm not going to text, right? Or leave a message. But I may call back the first day and say something like, hey, I know this was important to you. Just wanted to get you back on the schedule before it fills up real quick, right?
Right.
Build urgency. In each message, I'm going to have some type of a message of urgency, right? My schedule is filling up very quickly. Just want to give you a call, see if I can squeeze you in. Let me know what time works for you. Shoot me a text or give me a call. Something like that, right? Look, I know we're almost 5 minutes from being done. I wanted to reach out to you to see what time best fits you. My schedule's filling up quickly, and I wanted to get this submitted for you before the carriers delete the application.
Yeah, that's already happened once. I can relate.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm just kind of throwing ideas out there. But notice every single time it has like a sense of urgency, like we need to get this done right now, right? And you don't have to use the same thing every single time. You can throw something different out there. But, I know this is important to you. Give me a call back. My schedule is filling up very, very quickly. I only have a few slots left. Something like that. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. It helps.
Okay. Awesome. Any other questions, concerns so far? Aaron, Tori, Kelly?
Back to LeadChamp Pro. I don't know if you can answer this yet, but I heard someplace, it was brought up today maybe. Are they integrating a dialer within the system?
Integrating a dialer? Well,
or
Kixie. You've heard of Kixie? Is that what you were referring to?
No, that they were going to have their own internal dialer within the CRM.
Well, there's a dialer there. You can dial from there. It's not a speed dialer, but you can dial from a LeadChamp Pro. Yeah, Kixie is a speed dialer. So if you have multiple leads and you have a virtual assistant, you can have them use Kixie, and you can have it integrated with LeadChamp Pro.
Okay.
So, but Kixie costs more than LeadChamp Pro. So,
yeah,
a lot more. So when you don't want to use that until you're ready.
Well, I've got 4 different numbers I could call from now: my office, my cell, the number that we're given within the Life Center with Integrity, and Google Voice.
Okay. But yeah, you have phone numbers you can buy within LeadChamp Pro as well, and they're all A2P verified.
Got it.
So you can record your calls. You can have it leave a voicemail every time you call. There's all kinds of things you can do with it. And they have all kinds of training in there. Okay. Anything else?
I feel like Aaron and I were talking about something this morning and I'm completely spacing on what it was. So Aaron, do you remember one of the questions I had asked you this morning that I thought would be a good common question?
No, I mean, I was thinking, Shawn, I was watching one of your YouTube postings and I saw something that was kind of interesting on NLG when you were running an illustration. You were demonstrating someone that had a child and they would stop distributions at college age or stop making payments and start making distributions. And it looked like as you did that, it ended up changing the target premium, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, every
the
time
question
you
I
change
have,
the premium,
I'm
sorry, go ahead.
sorry. Oh, well, it got me thinking. I wonder if we shouldn't factor in for increased premium amounts over time on our submissions.
I'm not sure
If that's a
what you mean.
conversation worth having with the client.
Tell me more. What do you mean by increased?
So
submission?
maybe the client says that they are comfortable making $500 payments today, and a year from now they can increase that by $100 for 5 years, and they're projecting that they'll end up having a raise or promotion more money in another 10 years. Would we want to bake that into the submission to the carrier?
You can. You totally can. I mean, I've done that before on a few clients, but it really all depends. Every client is a little bit different, right? If I have a client that tells me, you know, I can afford $300 a month, but let's say they're 40, right? They're just underneath that rule of thumb to where they need to put, you know, because there's a, you know, the rule of thumb, right? 10 times your age, right? 20, put in 200, 40, put in 400, 50. And again, that's just a rule of thumb. But I try to stick with it because if you do, then they'll have really good cash value growth. And over time, by the time they get to retirement, it's going to look really, really well. Even after a first year, it can look really, really well. That being said, if I have a client, every client's different, right? And let's say I have a client that's really, really interested in doing this, but they're like strapped for income right now. And they say, look, you know, they're 40 years old, just as an example, and they can put in $300 a month. And they're like, well, can I put in more a little bit later? And the answer is always yes, right? But you have to build it that way. Now, if you're going to do an increasing benefit to where it increases every year at age 30 and keep it at $300 a month, you're not going to be able to put in more. So by doing that, though, there's two ways you can do that. You can do increasing and then do it for 5 years, increasing. And let's say they want to do $500 a month at age 45. At age 45, then you just change it to $500 a month from that 5th year on until retirement, and it'll change everything and give them do $500 a month till retirement. The other way you can do it is just change it. The simple way is just do $300 a month and then change it to level. And when you change it to level, the MEC guidelines go up, and so they can put in more as they want to. And so let's say down the road, they're 45 years old and they get a raise. Now they want to fund it with $500 a month. They could probably do that without you having to change anything. And they can just log into their portal, change the payment amount, and just put in as much as they want. So there's a couple of
Sure. Selfishly, I was just really surprised at how much the target premium increased if we kind of manually adjusted for an increased payment over time.
Yeah, everything changes, and it's all based off of their payment amount, right? And the younger they are, the cheaper it is, right? Because we get paid off of the cost of insurance, not just a very, very, very small percentage off of cash value, not much at all. So it's really just the cost of insurance. So yeah, so there's a couple of ways to do it right there. Level premium is going to pay us more. Increasing is going to pay us the least. But we're obviously need to do the right thing by the client, right? So when I look at it as, you know, what is the best option for the client? Is it increasing, or is it cash, or is it level premium? And I base it off of what the client wants to do. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Did that answer your question?
It does. Thank you.
I
Okay.
have a question, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Kind of in similar vein, I know I've had a few calls with folks that were doing the IULs for their retirement, and they have asked, well, how do I know how much I can pull out? You know, if they're saying, you know, I'm going to contribute until I'm 65 and we stop contributions at 65, how much can I, you know, can I just pull out any amount, or can I pull out, you know, 2,000 because that's the difference between my retirement and my pension, or what I'm making now on my pension, what it will be. Is there a way to kind of, when I usually do it as solve for income, when I put it in or pull the illustration, is there a way that we can tell, hey, you don't want to pull out more than $3,000 a month, because when you stop contributing over time, you're going to have, that's going to go a lot faster since you're not contributing.
What was your question? Is there a way that you can what?
Is there a way to figure out what is the threshold for what they can take out each month? Because let's just say somebody contributes, until they're 70, and they say at 70, I want to start taking out, $5,000 a month. Is there a way to kind of know, like, hey, maybe don't take out 5,000 because in 15 years it's going to be done? I'm sorry?
It's 4%. So the way that the rule of thumb is, and this is across the board, no matter what kind of investments, is you want it for income in retirement. If you have your money in a 401k or an IRA or even life insurance, you want to pull out 4%. Now that can increase over time depending on how much money you have. But the reason why is because if the market is doing pretty low, but let's say it's doing 6%, then you're still growing your money at about 2% spread because you're pulling out 4% for income, right? If it does 10%, now you have a 6% spread. If the market drops and does 3% that year, you only lost 1%, right? So the rule of thumb is about 4%. Now, when you do solve for income, it's gonna show that in there, that it's pulling out about 4%. Okay, but to be honest with you, with my leads, I don't show them any income. I just show them max accumulation, and I let them pull it out as they will. And I ask them, do you want me to just show you how it just accumulates, or do you want me to show you what type of income this will give you over the course of a lifetime? And you can change it with NLG. You can change it to where it's increasing income based off of what the market does. So the income will go up based off of what the market does. It'll actually take a look at it every 5 years, and if they can pay you more, they'll pay you more. If it doesn't do better, then they won't pay you more, but that'll never go down.
Okay. I just know people have asked that. They're like, oh, well, how much can I take out, each month? And I'm like, just not the whole amount.
Yeah. So if you solve for lifetime income, that's kind of that's a rider that NLG has. Lifetime income will pay them a set amount of income for the rest of their life, no matter what. So if the market tanks, or if they have no cash value left, it'll pay them an income for the rest of their life. That's a rider. If you just do solve for income, and they're going to get paid a lower income by doing that as well,
right?
Because it's a rider. But if you do solve for income, that's not a rider, and so it'll keep paying them income until they run out of cash value. If they run out of cash value, right? Because after a 15-year guaranteed period, it's literally based off of how much cash value they have in there. If they go in there and they're getting a paycheck every year, and they take a loan out for $500,000, and they only have $50,000 left in there, they're not going to have much income for very long.
Right.
So with the lifetime income rider, though, they can have lifetime income for the rest of their life.
With that, though, then they can't borrow from it, could they? Because anything additional, because if it's based on their accumulation value and they have that rider, if they have that rider saying we're guaranteeing that you have lifetime income, are they able to also say, oh, well, I had, to buy a new car, so I need to take out $50,000 to buy this car?
That's a great question. I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
You could
call NLG.
Call NLG underwriting and give them that scenario and see what they say. I don't know.
Okay.
I've never had anybody ask me that.
That's okay. I was just curious.
I would guess that maybe they could still borrow it, but they would, I don't know. They probably have to pay that back in order to keep that income going. Because I know in order to put to activate, that's probably a better word, the lifetime income rider, then they have to have all of their loans paid up before that. So here's an example. Let's say they're 40 years old. They've had they took out the IUL, and now they're 65 years old. They've been paying on it every year. And at 55 years old, they took out a loan for 50 grand. If they want to activate the lifetime income rider, they have to have all of those loans paid back so that they can, activate that for the rest of their life. So they may not be able to take loans out from there.
That makes sense.
Pluses and minuses from it, but you probably want to call NLG and get a solid answer on that.
No worries. I was just curious. But so solving for income, like when we set up the illustration, the solve for income, that's not activating that rider.
Nope. They only activate it when they want to. They have to be 60 years old and have the policy for a minimum of 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, I think, I'm not 100% sure on this either. I have to clarify, but I think the new Flex Life that's coming out for NLG will actually have a lifetime income rider built into the policy.
Oh, interesting.
So all they have to do is activate it if they want to.
Okay.
We don't have to run the illustration that way.
I see. Okay, cool.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Any other questions or concerns?
Hey, on the quick view, I know it's not the most aesthetically pleasing. Do you ever show the quick view on NLG?
Sometimes when I'm trying to be quick, no pun intended.
And there's nothing wrong with doing that. I know on the page it says don't show the client or whatever, but
yeah, I know a lot of agents that do. Technically, I don't see anything wrong with it. The reasoning behind it, though, there's no interest rate. It's just for the agent. They can't see an interest rate, and it only shows the non-guaranteed value. And all they're seeing is numbers, right? So that's kind of the reason why. With the illustration, it kind of gives them the whole picture.
yeah.
Right? Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah, there's some times where I just want to show them one quick item, but not have to run another report.
Yeah.
After a small
running
change.
reports is pretty easy. I mean, a lot of times I have no problem running a report just because you just hit a button and it'll run a report. So let me show you. You guys are all contracted with F&G, right?
Yes.
Technically, yes.
All right. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to share my screen here and show you how to run an F&G policy or create an illustration. Do you guys know how to create an illustration?
I have
With
not
F&G?
done that under F&G yet.
Okay. F&G is a good one to have and get used to. They do pay 20% more target premium. And they have this Everlast product that is a great product. It's speed underwriting. So a lot of times people can get approved right away with the Everlast product. Really, this is great for people under 50. So if you have a client that's under 50, run the Everlast product. Okay. So you'll go in here. So first off, where do you find this? You come in here and you go to illustrations, and then it'll pull up this page. And then you click on explore illustrations. This is for annuities. This is for life. Click on illustrations, and then it'll pop up and it'll come to this page. And then you just click on find products, and this drops down. You click on a product, and then it goes into the next tab, quotes and illustrations. Okay. So this one is just a 48-year-old. I didn't put a birthday in here. We're just going to put in 48 years old. If you need the underwriting guidelines, here's what I recommend that you guys do. NLG does the same thing. So does Columbus Life. You click this page and it'll open up a PDF. Okay. And then save this in your browser. Now, if you want to know the underwriting guidelines, I don't know if you have a Mac or a regular computer, but on a Mac, you would just do Command F, and on a regular PC, it might be Control F, I don't know. And then if you need to find something, just type in something like diabetes. And now it shows me there's 2 matches here. And so all I'm going to do is, see, it just lights it up right here, and it takes me to the spot in the page where it talks about diabetes, right? So, and then you can type in weight, and there's 10 matches. So I can just go right here until I find what I want to, what I need the answer to. Okay, so that's the underwriting guide. And then here you can run a quick solve, and you can do it. Here's how you solve: face amount for accumulation, premium for accumulation, premium for death benefit. You can do it with income or no income. Okay, again, I like to run mine without income just to kind of show them. And then a lot of times when I do that, I'll ask them, hey, do you want me to show you what it looked like with income if you were to take it out every year? And if they do, then I come back and I change it. Okay. But face amount for accumulation, or if you don't want to do the quick solve, you don't have to. You can come down here and just do whatever you want to. This is guideline single premium, guideline level premium, face amount premium, max accumulation. Now, max accumulation with income, that's the same thing we do with NLG. Right here, max accumulation, this is just showing the max accumulation. And what it's going to do is it's going to say pay premiums to age 65. A is always age 65. If you just put in here no A, then it's just going to go 65 years. Okay. We always want to click this minimum non-mech death benefit. This is if we're building it for max cash accumulation. Okay, and then right here, we click on the, we want to specify. The way this works is a little bit different. So this is every year, it's asking me, okay, every year, what do I want to pay for premiums? And so kind of like the video that you saw that you were talking about a little earlier, Aaron, that I did with NLG, this is kind of the same thing. If I go here and let's say they want to put in $1,000 a month, I'm going to click this box. It's going to turn it all to $1,000 a month and keep paying on it for the rest of their lives. But what we can do is say, okay, at age 65, they don't want to pay anymore. So you click on 0. Now for the rest of their, or age 66, now for the rest of their life, they're paying 0. Okay. Now what if if they had 2 years, they just wanted to pay 0. You can go and do 0. Whoops. Let me do it this way. Okay, now for 1 year, maybe here, well, we'll do like 10 years into it. We don't want to do it 5 years because it'll mess it up. 0, 0. You always got to click the check mark. So, and then right here at age 65, we don't want to pay anymore. Whoops, I forgot to click the check mark. Oh, I have it on 1 year, so it only does 1 year. This will change it up to all years, right? So basically that's how you show the funding of it. But I'm going to go back here and we're going to say, okay, they want to pay $1,000 forever. Oops. Okay, now it changes everything to forever, right? Now, but I don't want to pay forever. We're going to pay until age 65. So now we got $1,000 a month for 17 years. Now at 65, they're going to retire. Okay. Now I have the funding in there. Now, what kind of a death benefit option do I want to run? Do we want to run option A, option B, or option B to A? So option A is level. Option B is increasing. Option B to A means that it's going to increase until they retire. Now, or until they want to stop paying on it. That's really the rule of thumb, right? Because you'll have some clients that are like, I only want to pay on this for 5 years, but I'm going to put in 10 grand a month. Okay, cool. So you do increasing until they want to stop paying on it. Usually that's at retirement age. Now, retirement age is now age 67, so I'm changing that now to age 67. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to reduce death benefit to the minimum at that time after age 67. Now is it going to, yeah, see? Oh, so type Y for year, A for age. Okay. Now, this down here is the allocation. Now, what I like to do is kind of do a little bit of a mix, right? So S&P 500. And by the way, if you want to know what the interest rates are, whoops, wrong website here. You can come down here and where did I find that? It's on here. Oh, duh, right here. It's on the same page. So if you click on interest rates, it'll show you the interest rates for the different, now this is annuity products, this is life products, for the different products, right? So if you look, here's the F&G Everlast. Now the Barclays, here's a fixed interest rate. This is fully underwritten, 4.25, okay? Barclays Trailblazer, 180% participation rate, 1 year point to point. So there's no cap, okay? That's because this is a volatility index. But the participation rate is 180%. So it's going to show on the illustration it's going to illustrate at 5.5%. But it has 180% participation rate, okay? Here's the S&P products, okay? Their high cap is 12% with 100% participation rate. So what that means is if the index does 10%, you multiply that times the multiplier of participation rate, 100%, and they would get 10% credited to their account. This one has a high participation rate of 140%, but you can see the cap is lower. Okay. Down here, this is the other one that we use. This one has more indexes allocated to it. Let me go back up here. Up here, notice that there's no fixed rate. So you can see on this one, that's why it's grayed out. You can't change it. Okay. So here, the pass setter is the other one. So the Barclays Trailblazer, this one has a 1% bonus. So what that means is there's a 1% floor. So instead of 0 being the floor, there's a 1% floor. So it doesn't go below 1%. Okay. There's also no cap rate, and the participation rates are 155%. If you go fully underwritten, it's 170%. That means they get a blood draw, all of that fun stuff. Okay, so, and then down here, the S&P. Now you guys can go in here. I recommend that you guys get used to looking at indexes, and you don't have to be perfect. I mean, if you aren't sure, you can always ask me or ask somebody or call the company. But really, the indexes are going to be pretty standard for a year or so, right? But maybe not even a year or so. You know, every 3 months, you definitely want to take a look. maybe every month you want to take a look and see what they're doing. Like right now, you can look at the S&P 500 ticker, and you always want to go to a year. Right now, it's doing 11%, right? But you can see back in April, it was pretty low. But just Google the index and look at 1 year's time and see what it's doing. So it's kind of going back up. Okay. So that's how to look at the indexes. So let's jump back in here. So I'm going to do 50% to, or maybe 75% to the S&P, and then the Barclays, there's no cap, so I might do 25% here, and there's 180% participation rate, and the spread right now, if you remember, the spread is 0. So there's no spread. Okay, so now this has to equal 0%. Or I'm sorry, it has to equal 100%, and it does. So these are all, this is if they want to take a loan, a planned loan, or a withdrawal. So let's say we have a client that is like your client that wants to go to college, right? You're funding it for your kid. And let's say they're 1 year old, you want to put money away, and then between 18 to 22, maybe you take out loans. So you can come in here and schedule loans out for 4 years and not fund it for 4 years. It's just a way to do that for them. Now, personally, that's really complicated. And the more you complicate it with clients, the more they're going to get confused, the more they're not going to buy. So I may come in here and just say, hey, do you want to take out loans for them? And I wouldn't help them stop paying on it. If they asked me, maybe I would, but I would just build it so that they're continuing to pay on it, but they can take out loans at that time, right? So you don't have to get all complicated with these guys. A lot of times, it just makes it more difficult for them to understand. But this has a spouse term rider. Here's all the riders right here. If they want accidental death benefit, you can put that in there. But these are the 3 riders that come with it: terminal, critical, and chronic illness. Okay, just like most other plans out there. Then what you want to do, now, if you want to look at the quick version, you just calculate results, and it's going to go here. It's already 145. And here is the quick view. Now notice what's different is that with F&G compared to NLG, the surrender fees are for 15 years. On year 16, it evens out. With NLG, the surrender fees are for 10 years. Okay, they're a little bit steeper right off the bat because they're for only 10 years, but after 10 years, there's no surrender fees. With F&G, there is, but they're less steeper. You still have cash value in the very beginning years. Okay, so it's just kind of a snapshot of what it could do. No loans are taken out, right? And then if you wanted to draw an illustration, you just hit this button and it'll draw an illustration. This is one thing I forgot. This is the underwriting class. We always run it as standard non-tobacco or standard tobacco. If they do come back with a better class rating, then they'll let you know. Like, let's say they're super healthy. They may come back and say, hey, they're approved for preferred non-tobacco. Then they get a better rating. Okay. Then if they want to see income, you just click this, go to max accumulation and income. And then now we just change it to specify premiums. It's already changed there, but we can make sure that they're correct. And then how long do we want to show income? Cash value, income to age 90. Let's see what that does. We're going to start at age 65 and go to 25 years. Maximum variable loan rate is 5.5%, tells you right there. Okay, now let's calculate the results. And there we go. So for this policy, you can see at age 65, they're done paying on it. No more comes out. And then every year they get a loan for $25,000. So they're getting an extra $2,000 a month, a little over that, based off of their $1,000 a month. Right now on the illustration, it'll calculate these out for you. But if you were to take, 24,867 and times that by 5, they'd have 124,000 pulled out tax free. And they have 204,000 into this policy. So if you divide 204,000, divide that by 24,867. After 8 years, they got all their money back into this policy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So on year 9, all of this is just cash money, brother. And that's all they've only got 204,000 into this. By year 9, they're pulling out more than they have into it. And look, their cash value is still growing strong. Their accumulated value is still going up. And that's what they're compounding interest on, is that accumulated value. It just keeps going up. So eventually you can see the cash value growth is still looking pretty darn good, even though they're pulling out money. And then by the time, let's see, 25 years. So 24,897 times 25 years, they will have pulled out 622,000 tax free. But if they die, they're still leaving that extra, if they died at 90, they'd leave 75,000 to their beneficiary. If that was a 401k or an IRA, the beneficiary doesn't have squat, and they wouldn't have anything. They'd use it. But whatever's left, their beneficiary has to pay taxes on that. Right? Here, no matter what time they die, their beneficiary is getting some money, and that's tax free. So they're leaving a legacy to their family. Okay. All right. Now, how much time we have? We got 10 minutes. Okay. That's kind of how you run an illustration. That's not how you explain it. On the next call, maybe I'll show you how I explain it to a client. But do you guys have any questions whatsoever on this illustration?
Where do they show target premium here?
On the illustration. So if you click this, because as an agent, you shouldn't care about what you're going to get paid until they submit the request, right? Now, I'm not saying don't care, but I think that's what they're thinking, because I don't know where it's at anywhere out on the, unless it's on the illustration, but it's right here. $4,000. Okay.
So I do have a question, Shawn.
Sure. I can't hear you very well, Faye. Maybe you have to put the microphone up closer to your mouth.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
I'm listening on my laptop because on my phone it's being weird.
No problem. What's your question?
What happens when the monthly premium reaches the amount of the policy?
What happens when the monthly premium reaches the amount of the policy?
Yeah.
You talking about like the death benefit?
Yeah.
It never will until they're 95. And then when they do, now they're the owner of the policy.
Okay.
But if they're pulling out loans, it never will, because the loan is going to go down. But at age 95, because the reality of it is let me take the income rider off so I can explain it in a better way. It has to, the death benefit has to be larger than the annual premium. I'm sorry. The death benefit has to be larger than the amount of cash value is in the policy. And so if the cash value gets close to the death benefit, see, you can see this is increasing. You see the death benefit going up.
Yeah.
Okay. And it has to increase every year because of the cost of insurance by their age. Okay. Has to increase every year. Okay. Now, in this policy, it's not going to get anywhere close to it because it's on increasing. But by the time they're 95, now 96, it's the same. Because by laws, by TEFRA, DEFRA, and TAMRA, the rules that are put in place by the IRS, the death benefit, in order for it to be a life insurance policy and not an investment, the death benefit has to be higher than the cash value until they turn 96, all the way through age 95.
Okay.
Okay. Now, if we look at level, we turn this and let's say it's a level policy. We just turn this to option A. Now it's level. We calculate the results. So if you look, not as much cash value grows, right? Because the cost of insurance is higher because the death benefit is higher, right? But here's the deal. If they die for some crazy reason within 5 years, their beneficiary don't get the $33,000, they get $592,000. So they're leaving a bigger legacy to their family, right?
Yeah.
So if you look, it's not going to move. But at age of retirement, well, I have this calculated wrong. Retirement is at age 67. I had the numbers there wrong. It's going to drop the death benefit to keep the cost of insurance as low as possible. We should have had them paying until they're age 67, but I just did that part wrong. Anyways, but you can see it's dropped. But now, guess what? Their cash value goes up, and so now their death benefit is starting to rise again. It has to be a certain amount higher than their actual cash value by IRS rules and regulations, all the way until age 95. 96, it's now even. But here's the reality. That's why IULs work so good, because you're owning the death benefit. If you notice right here at age 96, how much is the cost of insurance? Does anybody know? What do you think the cost of insurance would be at age 96?
Probably really high.
No,
No?
it's zero. There is no cost of insurance. Because right here, the death benefit equals the cash value. So the cash value that's built into this policy is 1.8 million. That's your money. So if you borrowed 1 million out, the benefit that is going to the beneficiary is 802,000. So there's no cost of insurance. There's no risk to the carrier. There's no cost of insurance. It's free. So that's why IULs are so powerful, because at age 96, when the cost of insurance on any other policy would be sky high, in an IUL, it's free, because it equals the cash value on the policy. And you can see at age 90, cash value is 1.2 million, 27,000. The death benefit is 1.288. So the cost of insurance is only based off of that 88,000 minus the 27,000. So roughly about 50,000.
Hey, Shawn, how does that change on increasing?
How is what changed? The cost of insurance?
Well, yeah, because it's my understanding on increasing at time of death, beneficiary gets both cash value and death benefit, right?
Yeah. So the cost of insurance on increasing is lower But as you get older, remember the cost of insurance or the cash value and the death benefit get closer and closer. See, here's age 74. So the only reason, think about it this way, Aaron, you're paying for cost of insurance only on the risk that the carrier has to take. So in this policy at age 74, how much risk does the carrier have? 561,933 minus 515,000. So really the cost of insurance to the carrier is roughly about 45,000. 61 minus 15, 46,000, right? So you're only paying for the cost of insurance on $46,000. Because right here at age 66, this is a level policy, but age 66, we always want to drop the death benefit and turn it to level. So now they're getting only one or the other. Well, not one or the other, I should rephrase that. They're only getting the death benefit. Here, they're getting both, increasing and the death benefit, because it's increasing. But here, we want to drop the cost of insurance because, well, actually, this one didn't drop. Oh, it dropped right here. That's right. I dropped it after age 67. So it drops to 422. Why? Because they're not paying into the policy anymore. I should have built it to where it's paying $12,000 a year till age 67, but I missed a number in there somewhere. But this is just for example purposes only. So at age 67, the year after they retire, you want to drop the death benefit because the cost of insurance goes down that way, right? Does that make sense? Got one nod.
It does.
Yeah. Okay.
How it could be done, it doesn't make any sense, but I'm not going to question it.
How? Say that again, Kelly.
Well, a lot of times the math in this stuff, it kind of, well, what I said was, I don't understand how it can be done, but I'm not going to question it.
Oh, well, you're right. There is a lot of math that goes into it, and they have to stick with IRS guidelines, rules, and regulations, right? There has to be enough insurance over the cash value portion of it in order to call it a life insurance policy, and by IRS guidelines and rules and regulations, right? And that shrinks, that spread in between there shrinks the older you get because the cost of insurance goes up. But that's why an IUL is so powerful, because your cash value that you own is reducing the risk to the carrier, because when they die, they get the death benefit minus any loans that are taken out.
Yeah,
So essentially with an IUL, what you're doing is you're owning, you're putting money in to own the death benefit.
It's crazy.
Hey, Shawn, on NLG, there's only the increasing or level option. There is no B to A. So are you just having to manually at age 65 go in and switch it to level?
Yep. No.
Or is it automatic?
You can put it, so when you put in increasing, a little box right next to it pops up and says till age, and then you put in the age.
Oh,
and then it
gotcha.
drops.
Okay. Yep. Thank you.
That makes sense.
Yep.